In the heart of a vibrant city, there lived a young woman named Adebi. She was 22 years old and had lived her entire life surrounded by wealth and luxury. Her family was one of the richest in the country, and her father, Chief Onwuka, was a well-known business tycoon and political figure. At 58, Chief Onwuka controlled vast industries, owned several estates, and had connections that could make or break anyone in the country. His family's wealth was unmatched, and he made sure that his children, especially Adebi, never experienced anything less than the finest. Adebi grew up in a world where gold-plated furniture, designer clothes, private jets, and first-class travel were just part of her everyday routine. She attended the best schools and had everything she could ever dream of. However, despite all the riches, something felt off, something that Adebi couldn't quite identify. This feeling of unease began to grow over the years. She was the only daughter in the family, with two older brothers. Her father always showered her with affection, and everyone in the family knew she was his favorite. But recently, she began to notice a change in his behavior, a deeper and almost unsettling attachment to her. One evening, after an extravagant family dinner at their mansion, Chief Onwuka called Adebi into his private study. He looked serious, and his expression was colder than usual. Adebi, curious, followed him into the room. "Daddy, what's wrong?" she asked, taking a seat across from him. His eyes, usually warm and commanding, seemed distant and heavy. "My dear, you've always been the center of my world, haven't you?" he began, his voice wavering slightly. "You know the life we live, all the money, the cars, the private jets, it all comes with a price." Adebi frowned. "What do you mean, Daddy? You've worked so hard for everything we have. We deserve all of it." Chief Onwuka leaned back in his chair, folding his hands. "There are things I've never told you about how we became so rich, things that have kept this family at the top." He paused, as if considering whether to continue. "I'm part of a brotherhood that grants immense wealth and power to those who prove worthy. They demand sacrifices, great ones." Adebi looked at him in confusion. "Sacrifices? What do you mean, Daddy?" Her father sighed heavily, his voice trembling as he spoke. "The time has come for you, my daughter, to fulfill your part in this. The group demands that you help me. They've chosen you because you're my only daughter." Adebi's heart raced as she tried to process his words. "What do you want me to do, Daddy?" she asked, almost afraid of the answer. Chief Onwuka stood up, walking over to the window and looking out at the sprawling estate. "The price is something no one would ever guess. You must bear my child, Adebi. Only then will our family's wealth and power remain intact. If you refuse, I will lose everything, including my life." Adebi stood up, frozen in shock. The room felt like it was spinning. Her father, her protector, her hero, was asking her to have a child with him. The thought was so horrifying that she almost couldn't believe it, but his eyes filled with desperation told her he was serious. "No," she said, shaking her head. "No, this can't be real. You are my father. This is wrong. I know it's difficult, but this is the only way," he said, almost pleading with her. "If you love me, if you love the life we have, you will understand. If you refuse, you will destroy everything, including me." Adebi's mind raced. The idea of losing everything, the wealth, the luxury, the endless opportunities, became unbearable. Yet, the thought of what her father was asking felt like the worst betrayal. As days passed, the pressure grew. She saw the fear in her father's eyes every time they spoke about it. She knew he wasn't lying, the society was powerful, and they had always ensured the family's wealth remained untouched. Finally, Adebi made a choice. She chose the life she knew, the life of luxury, power, and influence. Thus began a forbidden bond between father and daughter. At first, it felt awkward, even repulsive, but as the weeks went by, something strange began to happen. Adebi found herself craving her father's touch. She started to go to him every night in secret, seeking him out. She began to feel an intimacy she could not understand. She would sneak into her father's room and lay on his bed. They would share intimate moments. Adeobi found herself entangled in a web of intimacy with her own father, enjoying every bit of their connection. Whenever they were together, she forgot he was her biological father. Soon, Adeobi discovered she was pregnant, which shocked her. But at the same time, she felt a twisted sense of relief. To the outside world, the tale was simple. Adeobi had a boyfriend from university who had vanished after leaving her pregnant. No one questioned it, not even her family. She gave birth to a boy named Chinedu in secrecy. He grew up in the family home, but no one knew the truth of his parentage. To everyone, Chief Onwuka was simply a loving grandfather, while for Adeobi, he was both father and lover. The weight of this secret grew heavier with each passing day. As Chinedu grew older, Adeobi began to question everything. She couldn't ignore the truth any longer. She had been living a lie, and she was suffocating. She wanted to escape, to find someone to love and raise a family of her own. But every time she thought about leaving, she saw her father's face and heard his voice, reminding her that if she left, they would lose everything. Guilt and fear kept her trapped, but deep down, Adeobi knew that continuing the relationship would destroy her in every way. She made a decision. She had to leave. The day she finally told her father that she wanted out was the hardest day of her life. She sat across from him in the study, looking into his eyes for what she believed would be the last time. "Daddy," she said, tears streaming down her face, "I can't do this anymore. I love you, but this isn't right. I want to live a normal life. I want to be free." Chief Onwuka's face darkened with anger. "You can't leave me, Adeobi. You'll destroy everything we've worked for. Do you understand the consequences of your actions?" Adeobi took a deep breath. "I know, but I can't continue this any longer. I don't care about the wealth and power. I just want a chance at a real life." With her decision made, Adeobi left her father's house that night, leaving behind everything: her family's fortune, her luxurious lifestyle, and the dangerous bond with her father. It was the hardest thing she had ever done, but in the end, it was the right thing to do. After Adeobi left, everything began to unravel. Chief Onwuka lost his place in society. The contracts, connections, and deals that had once seemed unshakable started to fall apart. Businesses collapsed one by one, and the once powerful family's wealth vanished. Chief Onwuka became a shadow of the man he once was, while Adeobi's brothers struggled to rebuild what they had lost. But despite the loss, Adeobi found peace. She went on to live a simpler, happier life, finding love with a kind man who accepted her for who she was. She raised Chinedu with honesty, telling him the truth about his grandfather while instilling in him the values of love, trust, and integrity. And so ended the story of Adeobi, the daughter who faced a horrifying reality and made the courageous choice to break free. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you'll be the first to know when I post more interesting. If you visit a salon with a strict rule that mirrors or anything that has a reflection is not allowed, will you adhere to the rule, or will you take your leave? Let's find out in Maya's story. Maya owns a hair salon in the town of Kwani. She is known for her incredible speed in braiding hair. She could braid for up to 10 clients a day because she didn't spend more than an hour on each hairstyle. No matter the complexity of the style you brought in, hairstyles that typically took a whole day or two could be completed in just 1 hour with Maya. People loved Maya's fast, beautiful, and neat braids. Her salon was always full of customers who appreciated the ability to have their hair done in no time. They praised her for her skills, but there was one strict rule at Maya's salon, the no mirror rule. Maya enforced this rule so strictly that upon entering her salon, she would firmly warn you to check your bags to ensure that you didn't bring anything that could reflect. People often wondered why she upheld this rule with such intensity, but they didn't bother to ask. They were just happy to have their hair styled quickly and beautifully. Dear viewer, have you ever come across a vendor with a rule like Maya's? One day, a beautiful young lady named Tara visited Maya's salon for the first time. She must not have heard about the no mirror rule. Upon entering, her bag was checked, but her pockets were overlooked. As soon as she sat down for Maya to start braiding her hair, Tara pulled out a small mirror to describe the hairstyle she wanted. Once Maya spotted the mirror, she began to scream, "How dare you? Who told you to bring a mirror into my salon when you know reflections are not allowed?" Tara quickly responded, "I'm really sorry. I didn't know about the rule." She tossed the mirror outside, eager to get her hair done in less than an hour. Not wanting to ask Maya about the strange rule, she sat back and got her hair braided in no time, living happily. Dear viewer, you must be wondering why Maya had such a rule in her salon. Well, keep listening to this story. Before I continue, I kindly ask all my amazing viewers who haven't subscribed to please consider becoming part of my growth. I truly appreciate your support, so please click on that subscribe button. And to my returning subscribers, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you. Now, back to the story. On another beautiful day, a young lady named Aisha visited Kwani, needing her hair braided. She was referred to Maya's salon. When Aisha arrived, Maya explained the no mirror rule. Aisha found it odd and hesitated to comply, saying, "Why can't I use a mirror in a hair salon? How will I see what you're doing to ensure that the hairstyle is coming out correctly?" Maya replied, "You don't need to worry about the hairstyle. I always get it right. If you don't want to follow the rule, I won't braid your hair." Maya stood firm and refused to braid Aisha's hair, so Aisha left, both confused and curious. Aisha was a naturally inquisitive person who always sought to understand things she didn't know. Her curiosity compelled her to discover why Maya had such a strange rule. She returned to Maya's salon, apologized, and promised to follow the rule this time. As Maya braided Aisha's hair, Aisha observed how fast and skilled Maya was. While walking, Maya seemed to move like a whirlwind. Then Aisha heard a faint whisper as Maya walked, and she realized something unusual was happening. "Aisha, what kind of skill do you have? You make hair so fast, even styles that should take days," Aisha asked. Maya smiled and replied, "It's just a talent I have." Aisha's curiosity piqued. She decided to investigate further without breaking Maya's rule. The next day, Aisha visited an elderly woman in a neighboring town known for her spiritual insights. Aisha recounted everything about Maya's hair salon to the woman, who consulted her knowledge and revealed that Maya was aided by an evil spirit. The spirit accelerated her work because once Maya started on a client's hair, the spirit would always be present to assist her in braiding. Aisha was shocked. The elderly woman explained that Maya was unhappy with her situation, but felt helpless and trapped by the spirit. It was revealed that when she was an infant, Maya's mother had made a deal with the evil spirit, promising that Maya would become a hairdresser. This was so the spirit could touch many women's hair to gain power. When Maya realized the truth, she found herself unable to break free from the malevolent spirit. She had no choice but to abide by the rules set by it because she knew that if anyone looked in a mirror while she braided their hair, her life would be in danger. Determined to help Maya, Aisha sought a plan and pleaded with the elderly woman to assist in freeing Maya from the spirit's grasp. The elderly woman agreed and prepared a special mirror designed to trap the spirit. She instructed Aisha to bring the mirror to Maya's salon and use it strategically. When Aisha arrived at Maya's salon, she explained her plan. Maya was nervous but placed her trust in Aisha. Following the instructions, Aisha began to reflect the mirror around the salon. The spirit sensed the shift and became furious, threatening Maya's life. As the special mirror started to glow, it drew the spirit closer, and despite its struggles, the spirit was ultimately trapped within the mirror's hold. With the spirit finally contained, Aisha smashed the mirror on the floor, shattering it into pieces. Maya beamed with joy, thanking Aisha profusely. You have no idea how long I've wanted to be free of that evil spirit. It's not just about the mirrors, it also told me I wasn't allowed to marry. That's why I've stayed single all this time. Thank you so much, Aisha, I owe you my life. Maya's salon now allowed mirrors, and clients were both surprised and happy for her newfound freedom. To celebrate, Maya hosted a feast, and her salon grew even more popular, with customers respecting her wishes without question. Aisha and Maya became close friends after that ordeal, and that is how the story of Maya, the hairstylist who wouldn't allow mirrors in her salon, came to an end. It's important to respect people's rules and policies. However, if any rule doesn't feel right to you, it's crucial to stand up for yourself, no matter how enticing the offer may seem. This story teaches us that bravery, friendship, and wisdom can overcome even the darkest challenges. Furthermore, it emphasizes the importance of speaking up when we need help. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you'll be the first to know when I post more interesting stories. I truly appreciate your support and do not take it for granted. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye. As Emily entered the classroom, a hush fell over the room. Her classmates stared at her with a mix of disgust and pity. Emily's heart raced. What was happening? At 16 years old, she was the star student at Bright Future Academy, a well-respected all-girls school. Known for her striking beauty and relentless intelligence, Emily had always been at the top of her class. Every morning, she donned her neat school uniform with determination in her eyes. Her long, brown hair was styled in two tidy ponytails, her natural beauty needing no enhancement. As she walked through the school gates, heads turned, and quiet whispers followed her. There goes Emily, always perfect. But Emily paid them little mind, she was solely focused on her studies. In class, she eagerly sat at the front, hand shooting up at every question. Her dedication was evident, and she often stayed after school to get extra help from teachers. Yet lately, her beauty seemed to become a distraction. Even the teachers were captivated. Mr. Parker, her math teacher, often stumbled over his words when Emily was near, and Miss Lewis, her English teacher, admired her essays with open admiration. One evening, as the sun set, casting long shadows in the empty classroom, Emily was immersed in her literature textbook when her friend Sarah entered. "Emily, you're still here," she called out. Emily looked up, smiling. "Yeah, just finishing some extra reading." Sarah walked over to Emily's desk and raised an eyebrow at the pile of books. With a small laugh, she said, "If I were as beautiful as you, I wouldn't stress about studying all the time. You could get favors from the teachers who like you." Emily frowned in confusion. "What do you mean?" Sarah grinned. "Haven't you noticed how Mr. Parker and Miss Lewis look at you? You could probably get good grades without all this hard work." Emily was shocked. She had never thought about using her looks for any advantage. It didn't feel right. "No way. I believe in earning my grades honestly," she protested. "Just a thought." Sarah shrugged. "Anyway, I'm heading home. Don't stay too late, okay?" As Sarah left, Emily sat there, her mind racing with this new idea. She had always valued hard work and integrity. But Sarah's words lingered like a shadow. Could life really be easier if she used her beauty? Those thoughts weighed heavily on her as she packed her books and headed home. The streets were quiet as she walked under the soft glow of the streetlights. She couldn't shake off Sarah's suggestion. For the first time, she started to see her beauty as something more than just a feature. When Emily reached home, her parents greeted her with warm smiles, proud of her accomplishments. Yet, during dinner, she found herself distracted, still pondering Sarah's words. That night, instead of opening her books, Emily stood in front of her mirror, taking a closer look at her reflection. Her clear skin, bright eyes, and gentle features stared back at her. Had she been blind to the power she possessed? Lying in bed, she made a decision. the next day, she would try something new. She would see if Sarah was right about using her beauty. The following morning, Emily woke up earlier than usual, her heart pounding. Standing in front of her mirror, she hesitated before reaching for her makeup kit, a birthday gift she had never used. With trembling hands, she applied a light layer of foundation, a touch of blush, and a swipe of lip gloss. She let her hair fall in soft waves around her shoulders. As Emily walked into the school compound, she immediately felt the change. More heads turned than usual, and whispers seemed louder. Even some teachers did a double take as she passed. In Mr. Parker's math class, her plan was put to the test. When a surprise quiz was handed out, panic sank in. She hadn't studied. But then the memory of Sarah's words echoed in her mind. As Mr. Parker collected the papers, Emily looked up at him and smiled sweetly. "Mr. Parker," she said softly, "I hope I did well on the quiz. I really want to maintain my good grades in your class." Flustered, Mr. Parker replied, "I'm sure you did great, Emily. You're my best student, after all." The next day, when Mr. Parker returned the graded quizzes, Emily was shocked to find a perfect score on her paper. She knew she hadn't answered every question correctly. Could Sarah have been right? Encouraged, Emily tried the same approach with other teachers, a smile here, a kind word there. Suddenly, she found herself getting good grades on tests she hadn't studied for. At first, it felt like a relief. She could finally get some rest. But as days passed, Emily found herself relying more on her looks. She studied less, confident that a smile or a flutter of her eyelashes would be enough to maintain her top position. For a while, it worked. However, she didn't notice the growing resentment among her classmates. Girls who had once admired her now whispered behind her back, bothered that she seemed to breeze through tests without putting in the effort. Sarah watched all of this with a mixture of satisfaction and envy. She hadn't expected Emily to be so successful in this new approach. One afternoon, as Emily was leaving school, she overheard two teachers talking in an empty classroom. Curious, she paused outside the door. "Have you noticed how Emily's been acting lately?" It was Miss Lewis's voice. "Yes, it's quite a change," Mr. Parker replied. "She seems to be using her charms more. It's becoming a problem." Emily's heart raced as she hurried away. Guilt and fear rushed over her. What had she gotten into? That night, she couldn't sleep, tossing and turning. The teachers had noticed her behavior, and they seemed to expect something in return for their favors. This wasn't what she had intended when she started this experiment. The next day, feeling uncomfortable under the teacher's gaze, Emily sought out Sarah. Finding her lounging under a tree in the schoolyard, scrolling through her phone, Emily said, "Sarah, I need to talk to you." Her friend looked up, a slight smile on her face. "What's up, beauty queen? Enjoying your new life?" "I think I've made a mistake," Emily admitted, her voice trembling. "The teachers are starting to want more than just smiles for their favors." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, feigning innocence. "I overheard them talking," Emily explained. "They're expecting something from me. I don't know what to do. This has gone too far." Sarah was quiet for a moment, then leaned in close. "Listen, Emily, you've come this far. Don't back out now. If the teachers want more, give them what they want." Emily recoiled in shock. "No. I can't do that." "Why not?" Sarah pressed. "It's just a little further. Think about all the benefits you've been getting. Do you want to give that up?" "No, Sarah, this is wrong. I never should have started this. I'm going to stop it now." As Emily walked away, she didn't see the dark look that crossed Sarah's face. Unbeknownst to her, her decision to stop would trigger a series of events that would turn her life upside down. The next morning, Emily woke up determined to make things right. She tied her hair back in her usual two ponytails and went to school without any makeup. As she stepped onto campus, unease gripped her. Students were gathered in small groups, whispering and pointing at her. When she entered her classroom, a tense silence filled the air. As her classmates stared at her, a cruel smile spread across Sarah's face. Well, if it isn't our teacher's pet, she said loudly. Or should I say, little Floozy. Emily's heart sank. What are you talking about? She stammered, but Sarah continued, everyone knows how you've been getting those good grades, sleeping with the teachers is low, even for you. That's not true. Emily cried out, desperation clawing at her. I never did anything like that. Her protest fell on deaf ears. The rumors had spread like wildfire through the school. Just then, Miss Agata, the school principal, appeared at the door. With a stern expression, she said, Emily, come with me to my office. As Emily followed Miss Agata through the hall, tears welled up in her eyes. Every glance from her peers felt like a dagger. Inside the principal's office, Miss Agata's voice was cold. Emily, I've heard very disturbing rumors about your behavior with male teachers. These are serious accusations. It's not true. Emily pleaded. I tried to use my looks for better grades, but I never went further than that, I swear. Whether it's true or not, the damage has been done, Miss Agata said with a heavy sigh. Parents are calling, threatening to withdraw their children if you remain here. You've become a liability. What does that mean? Emily asked, her heart pounding. It means, Miss Agata said, we have no choice but to expel you from Bright Future Academy. The words hit Emily like a physical blow. Her perfect record, dreams of being at the top of her class, all gone in an instant. As she left the principal's office, shame washed over her. In the corridor, she saw Sarah, a triumphant expression on her face. In that moment, Emily realized the full extent of her friend's betrayal. In the days that followed, Emily was engulfed by tears and arguments. Her parents were devastated by the news of her expulsion. They didn't believe the rumors but were disappointed that she had strayed from her values. We raised you better than this, her father said, his voice heavy with disappointment. Emily's mother, more practically minded, said, we need to find you a new school. You can't let this setback ruin your future. After days of searching, her parents successfully enrolled her in Hillview High School, a public school far removed from the esteemed Bright Future Academy. As Emily stood at the gates of Hillview High on her first day, she felt like a different person. The confident top student was gone, replaced by a girl who felt lost and alone. But as she took a deep breath and stepped into the school compound, she made a silent vow, this was her second chance. She would prove that she was more than just a pretty face. Emily committed to showing the world, and herself, that she could succeed on her own merits. Little did she know that her journey at Hillview High would present its own challenges and revelations. This was just the beginning of Emily's story. Donnie, an enthusiastic young woman, finds herself at the center of wedding preparations to marry her charming fiancé, Dozie. As their families collaborate on the celebration, differing expectations arise. Donnie's mother desires a traditional ceremony, while Dozie's mother hopes for a grand spectacle. As the wedding approaches, comedic misunderstandings and heartfelt moments ensue, testing their love and commitment. Ultimately, Donnie and Dozie's journey underscores the importance of love, laughter, and honoring one's heritage in weaving together the fabric of their lives. Join them as they navigate this colorful and complex world full of stories and timeless connections. In a vibrant Nigerian town filled with colorful markets and lively music, we meet Donnie, a spirited young woman excitedly preparing for her upcoming wedding to her charming fiancé, Dozie. Their love story, which began with sweet smiles and shared laughter, quickly finds them swept into a wedding planning whirlwind. What many know to be a joyous occasion is soon transformed into a specific type of chaos, particularly when their families get involved. Donnie's mother, Mama Iniola, is eager to ensure every detail reflects the family's values, and she isn't afraid to take charge. With a color-coded binder and a long list of choices, she has a vision that she thinks embodies their traditions. Meanwhile, Dozie's family, especially his mother, Aunt Clara, is focused more on appearances. We must impress everyone, she insists, showing off lavish fabrics and extravagant ideas. As the excitement builds, so do the differences between the two families. While Donnie dreams of a personal and heartfelt celebration, Aunt Clara wants everything to look perfect to their neighbors. This cultural clash adds a layer of stress Donnie never anticipated. The planning process quickly becomes comical, filled with misunderstandings and chaos. During one meeting about the venue, Aunt Clara and Mama Iniola start arguing about decorations, each insisting that their ideas are better, and this leaves Donnie in the middle, trying to juggle both sides. The sheer confusion is hilarious, as guests offer their unsolicited advice and stories of previous weddings, which only complicates things more. The whirlwind of decisions soon leaves Donnie wondering if they will ever have the wedding of their dreams. As the preparations continue, the tension escalates. Donnie finds herself overwhelmed by the multitude of opinions from both families. Should we have jollof rice or fried rice? Mama Iniola asks, creating a debate in itself. Dozie tries to stay neutral, but as he watches both mothers passionately argue over the menu, he knows that it's impossible to please everyone. While they argue about the food, Donnie can't help but feel anxious about the arrangements. Every time she thinks they are making progress, another disagreement sparks between Mama Iniola and Aunt Clara. It seems as if every decision brings a new conflict, and Donnie's patience is wearing thin. Donnie yearns for a celebration that feels genuine, a day filled with laughter and love rather than bickering. The planning process also reveals some unexpected surprises that further complicate things. One day, while discussing the wedding attire, Donnie accidentally spills juice on Aunt Clara's favorite fabric, which leads to an embarrassing moment of tension. The more they invest in the wedding preparations, the more it feels like both families are fighting against each other rather than working together. Donnie's friends try to offer advice, suggesting that she firmly stand her ground, but how can she when she wants to keep the peace? As the wedding approaches, she worries about the future, realizing that if the planning is this chaotic, what will the wedding day be like? Facing the complexity of their family's expectations, Donnie and Dozie resolve to stay focused on each other, knowing their love must be the guiding star amid the tangled emotions around them. Fast forward to the engagement party, a much-anticipated event that promises a joyful celebration of their love. The venue is beautifully decorated, and guests arrive wearing their finest clothes, excited to share in the special moment. However, the lively atmosphere quickly reveals itself to be a mix of joyful celebration and comedic chaos. Donnie's friends are eager to show their support, mingling and snapping pictures, while Dozie's relatives begin comparing wedding plans and stories from past engagements. Aunt Clara decides to take charge, announcing, "Everyone, let's showcase our family's talent." The party erupts into a lively performance where the guests begin to sing and dance. Despite the fun, the dynamics between the families start to create tension. The relatives can't help but compare family achievements, leading to awkward conversations. "Did you hear about the Ekinteller wedding? They had the grandest celebration," someone whispers, causing envy among attendees from both sides. Donnie's family is quick to defend their traditions, while Dozie's family insists on flamboyance. This back and forth leads to encounters that are both funny and uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Donnie's feisty grandmother, Boboloja, steals the show with her unexpected dance moves, breaking the tension as she encourages everyone to join in. The night turns into a series of comedic misunderstandings. Donnie soon realizes that while the party is a celebration, it's also an eye-opener about the expectations each family holds. Finally, the big day arrives, and excitement fills the air. Donnie wakes early, her heart racing with anticipation. She can't wait to see Dozie at the altar, but the day doesn't start off as planned. As she tries on her beautiful wedding gown, she discovers that the zipper is stuck. "No, no, no. Not on my wedding day," she cries, feeling the panic setting. With her mother and bridesmaids rushing to help, the morning spirals into an amusing yet frantic mess. Meanwhile, Dozie is at his home, surrounded by brothers who are equally nervous and excited, but they can't help but join in on the humor of the situation. One brother accidentally glues himself to his bow tie. The challenges escalate as uninvited guests begin to appear, including Uncle Ton and his rowdy children. "We just couldn't miss the celebration," he chuckles, blissfully unaware of the confusion he brings. To add to the chaos, Donnie and Dozie have a misunderstanding about the seating arrangement, which escalates their stress levels just before the ceremony. Relatives from both sides start squabbling over preferences and traditions, and it seems that everything is conspiring against them. As Donnie and Dozie argue about the details that don't matter in the grand scheme of things, they both realize how ridiculous it is to let the chaos of family influence their joy on such a significant day. As the wedding ceremony approaches, Donnie and Dozie steal a moment for themselves within the whirlwind around them. They take a deep breath, looking into each other's eyes, realizing how much they truly care for one another amidst the chaos. No matter what happens, I'm here for you, Dozie assures Donnie, taking her hands in his. There's something beautifully comforting in this shared moment despite all the noise surrounding them. They know that the most important part of this day is their love and commitment to one another. They say to each other that no matter how the day unfolds, they will cherish the love they share above everything else. Donnie and Dozie finally stand at the altar, hands intertwined, surrounded by family and friends, and nothing else matters. The ceremony is beautiful, a mixture of heartfelt vows and joyous laughter. Even with the hiccups from earlier in the day, Donnie smiles as she looks at Dozie, knowing that love shines through every moment. As they exchange vows, they promise to support one another in sunshine and rain, through laughter and chaos. Just when they think they can't take anymore, the funny mishaps of the day bring humor back to the forefront. With a bit of dancing, laughter, and singing, both families realize what truly matters. Love takes center stage and holds everything together amid the joy and turmoil. As the wedding night unfolds, the couple finds a quiet moment away from the celebration to reflect on everything that has happened. They gaze at the twinkling lights and feel grateful to their family and friends for standing by them through the ups and downs. We made it. Donnie laughs as they toast to love, laughter, and the beautiful madness of families. They acknowledge that every silly mishap, every disagreement, and every moment of stress only added color to their journey. Donnie and Dozie embrace the lessons learned from the day, realizing that love is not just about the perfect wedding, but about the ability to face challenges together, hand in hand. As they rejoin the party filled with music and joy, laughter echoes, and everyone dances around them. Donnie and Dozie share their first dance as a married couple, surrounded by cheering family and friends. They realize that chaos is just a part of life and that love will always pull them through. The night doesn't end perfectly, but it's filled with happy moments, shared memories, and a deep sense of love and belonging. They look back at everyone who gathered there, feeling grateful for a community that embraces imperfection. After all, both laughter and love are the threads that tie families together, and as Donnie and Dozie embark on this new adventure, they are prepared to face life's unpredictability with love, humor, and strength. For more interesting and captivating stories, don't. In a lavish home filled with wealth and dreams, Jasmine appears to have the perfect life, married to a devoted husband and expecting their third child. But behind closed doors, a bitter battle with her ruthless mother-in-law threatens to unravel everything. As secrets unfold and loyalties are tested, can Jasmine find the strength to stand up for herself, or will the ties of family suffocate her? Dive into a tale of resilience, love, and the fierce pursuit of respect in a world where family isn't always what it seems. Jasmine was married to Malik, a loving and hardworking man who adored her deeply. They lived in a large house filled with beautiful things, cars parked in the driveway, and every material dream they could imagine. They were blessed with 2 beautiful children, and Jasmine was excited about the birth of their third child. However, life was not perfect. Jasmine's biggest challenge was her mother-in-law, Maureen, who lived with them. Maureen was a proud and traditional woman who had never accepted Jasmine into the family. From the day Malik brought Jasmine home, Maureen had made it clear that she disapproved of their marriage. She had always wanted her son to marry Isabella, the daughter of a wealthy family, but Malik chose Jasmine, a simple girl from a modest background. Whenever Malik was home, Maureen feigned sweetness, kindness, and love towards Jasmine, always smiling and acting like the loving mother-in-law. However, the moment Malik traveled for work, Maureen's true colors emerged. She would criticize Jasmine, calling her a gold digger and attempting to make her feel worthless. "You don't deserve my son," she would often say. "You're just a low-class girl who got lucky." One afternoon, Jasmine was alone in the house with Maureen. The maid, Ifioma, had gone to drop off some clothes at the dry cleaner, and the gatekeeper was on leave. Suddenly, Jasmine felt the onset of labor pains. She knew the baby was coming, and the pain was becoming intense. She tried to stay calm as she approached the living room, where Maureen sat comfortably, watching her favorite TV show and sipping a glass of wine. "Mommy, please help me. I'm in pain," Jasmine pleaded, holding her belly and struggling to remain upright. Maureen glanced at her coldly, taking another slow sip of her wine. "Are you insane? Don't you ever call me a mommy again. I am not your mother. My son made a mistake marrying a low-class girl like you." She then turned her attention back to the television, completely ignoring the laboring Jasmine. Tears filled Jasmine's eyes as she fell to the ground, desperate and scared, but Maureen didn't care. Fighting through the pain, Jasmine crawled to her room and managed to grab her phone. She called Ifeoma, who quickly rushed back home and found Jasmine in distress. Ifeoma tried to help, but there was another problem. The 5 cars in the compound couldn't drive, as Maureen was the only one who knew how to drive, yet she refused to help. Without wasting time, Ifeoma ordered a taxi and helped Jasmine into the car. They rushed to the hospital, and soon after, Jasmine gave birth to a healthy baby boy. However, the pain of what had transpired with Maureen stayed with her. She couldn't believe that the woman who was supposed to care for her would let her suffer like that. Malik, who was abroad on a business trip, was thrilled when he heard about the baby's arrival. He called Jasmine, his voice filled with excitement. "I am so proud of you, my love. I wish I could have been there," he said. Jasmine smiled weakly but chose not to tell him about the ordeal with his mother. She didn't want to cause trouble and loved Malik too much to make him choose between her and his mother. As days turned into weeks, Maureen's attitude did not change. She continued to treat Jasmine poorly when Malik wasn't around, insulting her and making her feel like she didn't belong. Jasmine tried her best to win Maureen's love. She cooked her favorite meals, bought her gifts, and was constantly respectful, but nothing worked. Maureen's heart remained cold, and her disdain only grew deeper. One evening, Malik returned from his trip and noticed that Jasmine was unusually quiet. She seemed tired and sad, but whenever he asked what was wrong, she just smiled and assured him, "I am fine, my dear." Malik loved Jasmine deeply but couldn't see the pain she was hiding. He believed everything was perfect between his wife and his mother, just like Maureen pretended when he was around. Jasmine continued to endure her silent suffering, not wanting to be seen as a troublemaker or labeled ungrateful. Even after having 3 children, Maureen's disdain never wavered, often telling Jasmine, "You trapped my son with these children, and you're lucky he loves you, otherwise, you would be nothing." Jasmine's heart broke every time, but she held on to her love for Malik and her children. One morning, Jasmine woke up early to prepare breakfast. While making porridge for the kids, Maureen walked into the kitchen and began inspecting the pots. "Jasmine, what are you cooking?" she asked, peering into the bubbling pots. "Good morning, Maureen. I'm making porridge for breakfast," Jasmine replied with a smile. Maureen frowned. "No meat. Why don't you ever put meat in food? Are you trying to starve me and my children? You are such a lowlife. Even after marrying into wealth, you still can't behave like a wealthy woman." Jasmine tried to explain that the meat in the freezer was finished and they had ordered more, but before she could finish her sentence, Maureen picked up a pot of water and poured it over Jasmine. "Stupid girl. How can you say that simple thing? You can't even cook properly. I don't blame you, I blame Malik for marrying you. There's nothing good about you." With tears in her eyes, Jasmine pleaded, "Maureen, what have I ever done to deserve this? I've only tried to be a good daughter-in-law to you. What do I need to do to make you happy?" Maureen shot back, "The only thing you've ever done to me is come from a poor family. I wanted my son to marry Isabella, the rich man's daughter, but you came with your poor and smelly self into my son's life." Jasmine continued to plead, "But Maureen, I know my family is humble, but I am a good person, and I promise to behave well." Yet, Maureen was not listening. One day, something happened that changed everything. Jasmine was in the garden with her children, watching them play. Little Kai, her oldest son, ran inside to get his toy and overheard Maureen talking on the phone. "I don't understand why Malik is so blind," she said angrily. "This girl is nothing but a gold digger. I will never accept her, and I will make sure she knows her place." Kai didn't understand everything but knew his grandmother was talking about his mom. He went outside and whispered to Jasmine, "Mommy, Grandma is saying bad things about you on the phone." Jasmine's eyes filled with tears as she hugged Kai, trying to maintain composure. That night, as Malik tucked the children into bed, Jasmine sat in the living room, reflecting on all the times she had been mistreated. She realized that if she didn't speak up, things would never change. She loved Malik, but she also loved herself and her children, knowing they deserved better. When Malik joined her downstairs, Jasmine took a deep breath. "Malik, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling. She told him everything, how Maureen treated her in his absence, the hurtful things she said, and how she had refused to help when Jasmine was in labor. Malik was stunned. He had no idea his mother was treating Jasmine this way. "I never wanted to tell you," Jasmine said, tears streaming down her face, "but I can't keep living like this. I love you and our children, but I also need to feel safe and respected in my own home." Malik was heartbroken. He couldn't believe his mother could be so cruel to the woman he loved. Determined to protect his family, Malik went to speak with Maureen, hoping to understand her behavior. She tried to defend herself, claiming she only wanted the best for her son and that Jasmine wasn't good enough. But Malik stood firm. "Jasmine is my wife and the mother of my children," he stated. "She deserves respect. If you can't treat her kindly, then you need to find somewhere else to live." Maureen was shocked. She never expected Malik to stand up to her. Malik continued, "We have many estates. Please pick one and live on your own." Defeated, Maureen replied, "So, you're sending me out of your house because of this poor girl? I will leave, but don't worry, I will come back." She packed her luggage and moved to one of their duplexes. The months that followed were filled with healing and tension. Malik and Jasmine grew closer as a couple, working together to rebuild their emotional connection. The absence of Maureen's harsh remarks gave Jasmine the breathing space she needed to rediscover herself, focusing on her children, her career, and her marriage. Malik became more attentive to her needs, realizing he had been neglecting her. One late afternoon, Malik received a call from Maureen, saying she was coming to the house. She didn't sound angry or defensive, but rather resigned. Malik hesitated, sensing this was a crucial moment for their family. He called Jasmine into the living room and shared what Maureen had said. Though uncertain of what to expect, Jasmine agreed to face her mother-in-law again. When Maureen arrived, she was different. Gone was the proud, harsh figure who had once made Jasmine feel inferior. Maureen entered with her head down, her eyes softened and demeanor humble. The atmosphere grew tense as Jasmine stood in the living room, unsure of how to react. Malik spoke first, his voice firm yet gentle. "Maureen, Jasmine and I have talked. You've hurt her, and I need you to apologize, not just for my sake, but for the sake of our family." Maureen nodded slowly, her lips trembling as she glanced at Jasmine, her eyes filled with regret. Jasmine struggled to find the right words but finally said, "I was wrong. I treated you like an outsider and let my pride cloud my judgment. You never deserved the way I treated you." Jasmine could see sincerity in Maureen's eyes. Though she wasn't sure if she could forgive the past so easily, she realized that forgiveness was not just for Maureen, but for herself and the peace of their family. She took a deep breath and spoke softly, her voice trembling with emotion. "I never wanted things to be like this between us. I tried so hard to make you see that I love Malik and our children, but I felt like I was never enough for you." Maureen's eyes welled with tears. "I'm sorry, Jasmine. I see that now. I thought I was doing what was best for my son, but I was wrong. I wanted him to have the best, and I never realized that you were exactly what was best for him. I can't change the past, but I want to be a better mother and grandmother." Over the next few months, Jasmine and Maureen's relationship began to change. While it wasn't easy and the wounds of the past were not forgotten, they started to heal. Maureen gradually became more involved in her grandchildren's lives, offering help and guidance without the harshness she once displayed. She even started cooking Jasmine's favorite dishes and offering small compliments when she noticed Jasmine working hard. There were still moments of tension, especially when Malik wasn't around, but Jasmine and Maureen learned to communicate better. Jasmine asserted herself with kindness, and Maureen began to respect her boundaries. Malik remained the glue that held everything together, ensuring that both his wife and mother understood where his loyalty lay. One evening, as they sat down for a family dinner, Maureen looked at Jasmine with a soft smile. "You've done well, Jasmine, and I'm proud of you. You are a strong woman. I can see why my son loves you." Jasmine smiled in return, her heart finally at ease. "Thank you, Maureen. I hope we can continue to learn from each other." Malik watched the exchange with relief, grateful that his family was healing. He understood the value of communication and standing by his wife no matter the cost. One afternoon, as Jasmine sat in the garden watching her children play, she reflected on how far they had come. The pain of the past still lingered but no longer festered. Instead, it had become a lesson in strength, communication, and the power of standing up for oneself. Maureen came to sit beside her, her eyes kind but thoughtful. "You know," she said, "when I look at you now, I see a woman who is strong, resilient, and full of love. I've learned so much from you." Jasmine smiled warmly, grateful for the journey they had embarked on. "And I've learned from you too, Maureen. Sometimes it takes time to see things clearly." Malik joined them in the garden, wrapping his arms around Jasmine. "I'm glad you two are finally at peace," he said. "This is what family should be." And they all lived happily ever after. Jasmine's journey with her mother-in-law teaches us the importance of communication and standing up for ourselves. Love should never be one-sided, and respect is a two-way street. It's vital to speak out when mistreated and to create healthy boundaries, even with family. True love protects, supports, and uplifts. Jasmine's story shows that healing takes time, and forgiveness, though challenging, can be a path to freedom. It's not about forgetting the past but learning from it and moving beyond it. Respect, communication, and boundaries are essential in any relationship, including familiar ones. True love, the kind that uplifts and supports, will always find a way to heal old wounds and create a future stronger than the past. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope you found it entertaining and insightful. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click on the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to hear about my new stories. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your constant support. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.
In a picturesque village nestled between jagged mountains and flowing rivers, there lived a legendary drummer named Toro. Toro was known far and wide for his incredible musical talent. He was no ordinary musician, he possessed an extraordinary gift. His drum beats could summon the rain, bringing life and prosperity to his village. Whenever he played, dark clouds gathered overhead, and the rivers swelled with fresh water that nourished the crops and filled the hearts of the villagers with joy. The village prospered under Toro's rhythmic magic, and people would gather every day to hear him drum. Children laughed and danced, and the elderly shared stories around the fire as Toro filled the air with music that resonated like the heartbeat of the earth. But one day, a corrupt king named King Roderick heard tales of Toro's incredible abilities. Obsessed with power and wealth, he demanded, "Toro, come to my palace and play for me. Your magical drum will fill my treasury." With a calm demeanor, Toro stood strong, shaking his head. "Your greed has caused suffering in this land, King Roderick. I will not play for a tyrant who oppresses his own people." Infuriated by Toro's defiance, King Roderick summoned dark forces from the heavens. "If I cannot use your power, you shall be punished. I will make you a reminder of what happens to those who resist me." Thunder cracked, and the sky darkened as the gods responded to the king's wrath. In a whirlwind of lightning and storm, Toro's beloved drum was stolen from him, whisked away into the night. As the drum vanished, the rain stopped. The skies turned barren, and soon the villagers found themselves facing an unrelenting drought. The crops withered, rivers shrank to dry beds, and desperation filled the hearts of the once thriving community. Years passed, and Toro grew frailier, yet his spirit remained strong. Despite the failed harvest and desolation, he refused to lose hope. On his deathbed, he summoned the village's most unlikely apprentice, a young boy named Kenji. Kenji was not like other children. He was brash and quick to anger, often smashing things rather than creating beauty. With an unruly mop of hair and a frown that seemed permanently etched on his face, the villagers often dismissed him as a troublemaker. "What can I possibly learn from you, Toro?" Kenji asked, crossing his arms defiantly. "I'm no hero, just a kid with a bad reputation." Toro smiled gently, looking deep into the boy's eyes. "You possess a fire within you, Kenji. The drums are not about merely creating tunes, they are about connecting to the world around you. You have the potential to learn, to grow, and to reclaim the storm. You must retrieve my drum and restore balance to the land." "But what if I fail?" Kenji whispered, a hint of vulnerability flickering in his usually fierce demeanor. "Failure is merely a part of growth," Toro said, his voice frail but firm. "What matters is your determination to try. Promise me this, you will go on this quest not only to prove others wrong but to learn about yourself." Resolute yet filled with self-doubt, Kenji nodded. "I will try. I get your drum back." Drawing strength from Toro's words, Kenji embarked on his journey. He traversed dense forests filled with chirping birds and rustling leaves, climbed steep cliffs that scraped the heavens, and crossed raging rivers that seemed impossible to navigate. Each step he took was a challenge, a test of his strength and courage. Along the way, he encountered several characters who would change his perspective on life. First, he met an old woman in the forest who appeared to be a simple herbalist. She welcomed him with open arms and offered him a drink infused with local herbs. "Drink this, child. It will give you strength," she said. "What do you know about strength?" Kenji scoffed. "Strength isn't just muscles, it's also about your heart," she replied, her eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Listen to the drums of nature, they will guide you." Kenji took her advice lightly, but deep down, he began to feel a change within him. Throughout the journey, he met a wise old man who taught him about the art of music. He encouraged Kenji to feel the beat of his surroundings, tapping into the rhythm of the wind, the rustling leaves, and the flowing water. "It's all connected," the old man said. "When you listen, truly listen, you can summon the storm inside of you." Days turned into weeks, and Kenji grew stronger and wiser. He realized that being a hero wasn't just about glory, it was about the journey and the connections he made along the way. With a renewed sense of purpose, he finally arrived at King Roderick's fortress. The fortress loomed high above him, an imposing structure surrounded by gleaming walls and guards who patrolled the grounds. Heart racing, he scaled the walls under the cover of night, listening to a heartbeat that grew louder with each step he took. Finally, he reached the highest tower where the king kept Toro's treasured drum. To his dismay, King Roderick stood guard, looking more treacherous than ever, his eyes glinting with greed. "Oh, the little drummer boy has come to reclaim his toy," the king sneered. "You will pay dearly for your audacity, child." Kenji felt fear crawl over him, but he remembered the lessons learned along his journey. He stood tall, gathering the courage he had built within. "It's not a toy, King Roderick. It's a symbol of life. And it belongs to the people. You have no right to it." With no time to waste, an epic battle erupted. Kenji and King Roderick clashed as Kenji dodged strikes, his heart pounding like a drum. He fought valiantly, fueled by the wisdom of his mentors and the memories of his village. Each challenge was like a rhythm, a beat that he needed to master to reclaim what was lost. As they battled, Kenji slowly realized that he had something King Roderick didn't: connection to nature and the heartbeat of the land. Toro's spirit seemed to whisper in his ear, urging him to drum. With a swift move, he managed to grab the drum from the king's hands, but Roderick cackled. "Foolish boy. Do you really believe you can bring back the rain? You're just a child." But Kenji would not be deterred. Remembering the rhythm of the earth and the lessons learned, he placed the drum on the ground and began to play. His hands danced across the surface, summoning the thunderous beats. The energy surged within him. With every powerful strike, the drum echoed like a heartbeat, resonating through the land. The heavens responded, dark clouds swirling ominously. Lightning crackled, and thunder roared as the storm awakened. Rain poured down in torrents. The villagers, watching from afar, felt a rush of hope as they embraced the joyous droplets. The crops quivered with happiness, and the rivers began to refill. Life surged back into the parched land, releasing a wave of joy. In his final moments of defiance, King Roderick shouted helplessly, "No! This cannot happen." But it was too late. The storm raged, washing away his greed and tyranny. Kenji's heart swelled with fulfillment. He had done it. Breathless, Kenji returned to the village, the sound of laughter echoing in the air as the rain fell like gentle music. The villagers embraced him, rejoicing loudly. "You did it, Kenji. You've brought back the rain." Back home, Kenji knelt before Toro's memory, tears glistening in his eyes. "I did it. But I couldn't have done it without you." Toro's spirit flickered in the air around him as if approving Kenji's journey. In that moment, the boy understood. It wasn't only Toro's drum that had been restored. Kenji had also discovered the rhythm of his own heart. The villagers gathered, and Kenji began a beat on the restored drum, ushering in waves of gratitude and joy. As the thunder faded into the background, they danced together, united by the power of music and hope. From that day forward, whenever the rain fell and the thunder roared, the villagers would tell the tale of Kenji, the unlikely hero, who reclaimed the drum and restored balance to their land. He was no longer just a troublemaker. He had become a beacon of hope, courage, and resilience. And every time he played, Kenji remembered the lesson Toro had taught him. True strength lies not only in power but in connection and love for the earth and its rightful rhythm. Together, they would weather any storm that came their way. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.